Should be. I don't need to see that technically. Got a bunch of effing tabs to close out here. I need to turn off my notifications for now. How do I turn off?
What's the topic of the show today?
Balls and vaginas.
Okay.
Ball is head? That's not. That's close. Paul is dead. Paul is dead, not ball is head. Paul is dead.
Yes. You should know that.
Yeah.
8 Ball?
8 Paul? No.
Oh, Paul is dead.
That's true.
Ball. Damn, you talking about the show?
I'm on the wrong goddamn show. Anybody there yet? Anybody? Anybody there?
Who's first?
Uh-oh, I hit a button there.
Who got in first today?
I don't know. I haven't got to the right screen yet. You see anybody on there?
Wait a second, let me throw that in.
Are we even live?
Yeah, where it says stop stream.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Say start stream.
No first yet.
Wow.
This is amazing.
Everybody's like, fuck these guys.
I don't blame them, but. Boop, boop,
was-
doo, boop, doo, doo.
Everett and his incontinence lecture last week.
Yeah, I just ran them out. There was no
Yeah.
incontinence, so.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'd call it.
Not incontinent.
Yes, rectal misadventure.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, okay, yeah. His shit's still.
That's what he was talking about for half an hour. Is
It looks like Kristen was first, but Luar is the first to claim it, so I don't know. I don't know how to call it.
That's a tough. I'll give it to Loire because he's on my team.
Fair enough. What's up, Macy, Kristen, Luar? Welcome to the show today.
What are we doing the show today, Mike?
Boop. Oh my God.
He's already begun.
So we got a voicemail from a guy in Britain who likes your shit.
In
He
Britain?
does?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, shh.
I'll play you that one
Don't
before the show
encourage
today.
him.
We're going to skip voicemails on the show today.
But we
but,
gotta hear that one.
we're not playing it on the show. We'll do it next
No,
time.
yeah, but play it right now. Oh,
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
man.
Now there should be a wire here. Is this the wire? What happened, man? Just put it on there. You don't need to have it like.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Stop looking at my messages, Armand.
Well, that message I look at, that's pretty good.
It's a monkey.
Why is that stuck? Oh, we just listened to it.
It's a good song.
Yeah, but I couldn't remember. I just like, where's that from?
Nick
Oh, yeah,
establishing a mood.
I dig it. One of my favorite albums of all time, probably top 3, Abbey Road.
It's a good album.
Is this working? Here, let's try this.
I don't think Eric's.
Yes,
This is Dave calling from the UK. I don't think Eric's
All the way
UK
up.
impression is that bad. Definitely Team Eric. Would like to go for a beer with Armand, maybe a titty bar. I think that.
All right.
Wait, so you can't
Love
hear it?
him.
What's the deal? You can't hear it or you can't?
I cannot hear
Oh, turn your mic
myself
on.
Yeah, I heard him.
I knew that.
It was great.
Dork.
Bad. Definitely Team Eric. Would like to go for a beer with Armand, maybe a titty bar. I think that'd be fun.
That's right,
One
mate.
more thing.
Damn
Fuck
right.
you, Everett.
Fuck you,
Ooh.
Everett. That's right. It
Oh,
sounds so
man.
much better in a brick sexy.
Oh, you get
Man,
that a
no,
lot,
it's-
eh?
Mate, fuck off, eh?
Kindly shove it up your ass,
Eat shite.
I'm telling you.
wanker.
So we had an actual British guy.
Yeah.
Leave us a voicemail.
That remains to be seen, mate.
Yeah,
And-
I don't
and he
know.
says-
I could leave a message today and sound Australian if I wanted.
You don't sound anything like an
I
Australian
like him.
person.
I liked him, though.
But anyway,
did.
so and he says Eric's accent's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Is there a team for Nick? Sure, Team Nick. Boom.
There it is. Yeah.
Team Nick. Nick's got a...
New R's asking, so, I mean, that's your
Oh,
buddy.
hey, no way.
I mean,
It's on
really,
my team.
you can add anything behind that hashtag team.
Macy loves your British accent as well.
Really?
But I just banned her from chat, so.
Yeah,
her
that's
name?
it.
Macy Combs. She gone, though.
Banished.
Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
thank you, Macy. I appreciate that.
Don't encourage him. Banished.
Banished from the land.
Thou shall not pass. Is Ian McKellen French? Hey, fucker. Not French. British. Is he McKellen?
yeah.
Is he British?
Ian McKellen?
Scottish, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's Scottish.
I mean,
yeah.
they got McKellen.
Man, dude,
He's from Loch McKinnon. I don't know. I got nothing.
this is fucking not ideal.
Glenfinnan.
Good actor. I like Ian McKellen.
He's all right.
Good Richard III.
What's up, Russell? Man, how is there only 5 people showed up today?
Wow.
This is amazing. There's usually 20 people by this time.
Yeah, we're
Let me
right
get
on
the
schedule.
Facebook group. Have we burnt people out by doing the other show?
I told you.
I told you we shouldn't have cross-posted.
I don't think that's it, but
I think you were a little too graphic with your symptoms.
I don't
last
think that
week.
was it.
I don't know. Boy.
What are you talking about?
Burn Offering says fuck the Beatles. Fuck you.
Ooh, wow.
That's what I I'm gonna have to come back with there.
But the Beatles were just mediocre at best, I feel like.
Well, you won't mind listening
fucking
to
crazy?
this show.
What do you, I mean, let's get an honest
If
opinion
that's-
here.
If you're gonna, you know,
What do you think, Nick? Do you think they
Because-
were a spectacular band?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah, dude, they're one of the, if not one of the best ever. In 7 fucking years, dude, they did what most people will never.
Oh, wait,
almost
hang on. They were only together for like 7 years?
Yeah, they got they got
that's
famous in '64 and disbanded in '70.
That's pretty impressive.
But what band is the most influential based on least amount of effort?
Oh, Spice Girls.
B-52s.
Sex Pistols. They put out one album, and
Yeah.
look what they did with
They influenced me to stay away from punk.
That's all? They had one album? That was it?
one album.
Wow. What happened?
Who's the most influential rapper who's only put out 2 albums?
How the hell should I know? I don't know.
Dr. Dre.
Really? I can't name any rappers.
That's 100% true.
Chronic and Chronic 2001 is the only 2 albums he put out.
That was the Sugar Hill Gang.
It could have been rapper.
They were the first ones, right?
No.
I thought they were the first rap group. That,
Let's see.
it's a trivia question.
So if we run out of stuff to go on because the Paul thing isn't super deep, I want to talk about Everyday Chemistry, the album from another timeline by the Beatles. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I don't.
So this guy he traveled to another timeline where the Beatles had never broke up and brought back a Beatles recording.
Oh, yeah.
From an album
yeah.
album after they broke up.
That was
and they've
the
had it verified that people say yes, this is the Beatles. But I don't know.
and supposedly what happened? He went to another timeline.
Yeah, like to a parallel dimension.
Parallel universe or something?
Brought back a recording of another Beatles album that had never been released
I
over
would
here.
think Nick would be privy to that.
I mean, it's not super.
That sounds like Nick talking there. You never heard that
I
one?
never have. No.
It's pretty cool.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna look into that.
Yeah, I think you're getting a little remiss in your duty.
I doubt that. I just got lucky.
If you want me to send you a soundbite of my British accent for your GPS, I don't know how much we'll have to do to get that to you.
Turn right.
No,
Let me know.
please.
In 500 feet, turn left now on Monamaker Street.
You know, apparently Paul's not the only one that's dead, right? I heard
George is dead.
well, John
No,
Lennon's
Avril
dead too.
Lavigne.
Oh, yeah, John.
Avril Lavigne's dead.
Yeah, they replaced her.
Really?
Yes, this is a phony. Yeah.
Fucking John Benet Ramsey.
She is
was,
John Benet
yeah.
Well, I think
No, that's Katy Perry.
true.
Somebody.
that what it is, Katy Perry?
I heard
Yeah,
that one.
it's Katy Perry.
Oh, that's Jean Benet Ramsey. It's actually
Nick, Jordan says you look slick in those glasses.
Oh, I'm not gonna keep. Thanks.
No, this is that's
She's pretty cool.
pre-show.
She was on the show last
Insane
week.
Clown Policy.
That's not Jordan.
Jordan Heiser.
Yeah, sorry, wrong Jordan.
He lives around here. Did you know
Does
that
he?
he's from Edwardsville? I think.
far out.
I think.
Well, come down to the studio and get Armand's autograph. maybe
only cost you a quarter.
Maybe peg him. I don't know.
I think Cary Grant charged a
He'd
quarter.
be down.
Grant cost a quarter.
Yeah, he was notoriously cheap.
Take it easy, Bart. Oh, there's Jordan Reynolds. Okay, we got both Jordans in attendance today.
All right, yeah, that was quite a story she had last week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll give it a couple more minutes. We'll start this goddamn show up. Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to do it now.
You ready now, Jack?
No, Nick's preparing,
Oh man, there's just so
What
much.
was that from,
There's
Nick?
so much information.
and he thought it was going to be a short show.
You could do 2 shows on this.
See,
No shit. I
You were
thought it was-
afraid
I
we'd
thought it was
have
gonna
enough.
be a show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you didn't
short.
think we'd have enough material.
I only found 10 pieces of info.
Oh,
That's the
that's-
problem right
you're
now
not
with
Nick
me. I'm trying
Drago.
to think like how to
Condense
digest
it.
Well, I mean, okay, we'll get into that.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I can't wait to hear this.
All right.
This is crazy
I'm
shit.
almost
What's the
there.
name of the doc, Everett?
Paul is dead.
Paul is dead.
Succinct, yeah, I think that's.
It's
explicit.
only like 5 lines long.
Oh, well then.
I didn't have a lot of time to poke into it, so I guess I dropped in an article. My computer out there's got like 5 or 6 tabs of good shit open, but it never made it into the document. But I read it all, so I'm good.
Sorry, folks.
And Paul's not his real first name, is it? What's his first name?
Well,
Oh,
there's
when he was alive,
William.
The real Paul.
William
but James Paul McCartney.
James
was his
Paul.
name.
Okay, very good.
Talking about Billy.
Yeah, we had that in a trivia contest once, and I missed. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
James Paul McCartney. That's good.
Jim to his friends.
Well,
not you.
Everett, can you look at my
That's the
computer screen
corpse
real
we're
quick?
talking about.
That's on the other side of the table. I can't see it.
So like, why is it all weird colors?
Did we
like
ever
that?
go over,
Why is it
uh,
white and
They-
light?
they didn't- we talked.
you got your
How
brightness
about,
up to your eye?
Dillinger though?
Or your
They
contrast
didn't
one?
get Dillinger.
that
That was actually
Yeah,
a kid.
bring
A
your
guy named
contrast
Jimmy
back down to
Lawrence.
50, I bet
I read a
that's what it
book
is.
by a guy.
They did
claims-
not have laser.
Never mess with your
removals
contrast.
for
Never mess with
tattoos.
contrast?
You don't need to.
I didn't know that.
That corpse did not have
Jimmy
his,
Dillinger's.
his
Dill-
tattoo.
Yeah, Dillinger's tattoo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
that's
good to go?
that's a different
It's not
show.
like
since I
there was a big
adjusted.
gash.
I meant
where,
with your,
you
color.
didn't like carve it off or anything.
Right.
Color?
Yeah, on your screen.
I'm trying to adjust now.
Luar says, send him the soundbite. I'm here for the gangbang. In British, I
Oh,
guess.
that's a good one.
I'm
Chris has that.
Here for the gangbang.
What's that from anyway?
Old school.
Old school.
Oh, is
yeah.
that what it is? Okay.
It was the director, actually, who was the guy that said that. The director of the movie was his cameo.
He's
Todd
line.
Phillips.
He's been he was in a cameo in another movie.
Hard to say, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's
Yeah.
in a lot of good movies, actually. Road Trip was his.
What's his name?
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
Let's see, he did something kind of high profile lately. What is it? Oh, he did the Joker. He was one of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Directed that.
Has that come out yet?
He did both of the Hangovers, or all three of the Hangovers. Has the new Joker come out?
I
I don't
enjoyed
know.
the Hangover movies.
Yeah, they were
I
pretty
only
fun.
saw the first one. To be honest.
Joker comes out in October. It's got De Niro in it. That's kind of funny.
Who plays the De Niro? I mean, who plays the Joker? Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin
Huh?
Phoenix.
Oh.
It's another backstory that's never been in the comics
He's going
before.
to be the best Joker so far.
I think so, huh?
That's my prediction. It really is.
Did you like What's His Brain?
Well, yeah, who's the guy that died? Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him. Yeah,
So I should put my brightness back down then?
Let's have this discussion one more time. And your brightness will probably be fine. I don't think he played the Joker. Well, he did play a good character, and I loved his performance, but I think the character he played was not the Joker. He had none of the classical Joker nuances. Ooh. He wasn't a laughy kind of guy. He was a chaos guy. Joker was a clown prince of darkness. You know what I mean? Clown prince of crime.
I understand what you're saying.
So, again, I loved his performance, but I don't really think that was the Joker.
Who?
There it is.
Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah, no, you're wrong.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, he was the Joker, so.
Well, they called him that.
Yeah.
But he thinks he missed the
I was gonna say
quintessence of the Joker.
The entire movie missed the
He's
essence of
wrong.
the Joker. How am I wrong? Tell me another Joker that was ever anything like that, or how he resembled any previous Joker.
I always saw Jack
Why does it
Nicholson.
have to
I'm
be?
not a
This
big
is
fan
not-
of any of
this-
the movies, but
this
I
is
liked him the
not
best.
Like a canon thing here. So, like, there's multiple versions of Joker.
No shit. He
Okay,
was
so
similar to any of them.
That's Joker.
You don't get what I'm saying.
I do get what you're saying, that you're trying to relate him to other Jokers, but you can't. He's his own
Well, all
Joker.
the other Jokers were very similar.
Jack Nicholson seemed like he was trying less, but didn't need to try very hard.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's
He
got
had
that
gags.
certain-
He had
right, that's what
fucking.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
It became natural.
Right. He has that certain psychotic,
Yeah.
Apparently, like even when he did "Here's Johnny," that was ad-libbed.
Really.
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah.
Can't
And
do
you
it
could
anymore.
kind of believe it. His eyebrows really help.
All right. You guys about ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hit the theme music in a couple seconds. Eric, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
You're listening to Surreal Talk, a look inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal.
Something's not right, man. Something's not right. Something's bullshit here, and I don't believe it.
Honestly, this crazy shit could be completely possible.
Disclaimer, we reserve the right to be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You think you know the whole story? Think again.
Now your hosts, Eric and Everett.
Welcome to Surreal Talk, a look inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal, a lineupmedia.fm production, and we are back.
We bring in the drama every time. You got to bring that drama. And we, dramatic pause, are
Yes.
dramatic pause.
Don't forget the ellipsis.
It was good, wasn't it?
Back. Well, I mean, it was okay.
It's primetime TV.
It's classic you. I mean,
Yeah, right,
so
exactly.
you had that going for you. What's up, everybody? We're back, joined again by Armand, the infamous, and good friend of the show, Nick Drago.
Good to be back.
Formerly coming up again, I believe, in Nick of Time. You bringing that back again?
Trying to bring it back. Yeah.
Okay.
Just waiting on some people.
If you need any help, man, let me know. I'll help you out. Anything technical I can do or whatever.
He doesn't know shit, Nick.
I mean, I've set up a few of these casts in my day. What are you doing with
A couple.
your microphone? Not quite good for you.
boy.
You only had about 20 minutes to get that ready.
I don't think it works.
What do you mean you don't think it works?
Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Why don't you keep your headphones on? Then maybe you think it worked.
Get hot. My ears sweat. What are you doing in a hoodie anyway? It's
I'm
like
fine in it.
75 degrees
I'm
outside.
fine in here.
Anyways, what are we talking about today?
So why don't you give the story about how it rolled up on the group, the whole backstory here?
Maybe what if I didn't know it?
You were the one who suggested we do this. Have Nick come on.
Yeah. So.
Fuck you. Just talk about it.
Yeah, so Nick did a show whenever he did Nick of Time, and it was a really good show. I listened to it about Paul McCartney not being Paul McCartney. Something was posted in the group the other day. Nick said he would love to do that show. And
He said he'd love for us to do it.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. You did a good one. Come on and do it with us. Yeah, so Nick's here to walk us through the Paul McCartney conspiracy.
Right on. It's good to be back. I always wanted to talk about this on. I've talked about it on Ocha Man before. But
I remember, yeah. I scoffed at this.
so
A lot of people scoff at this.
actually, that's not my memory of your reception of this information. You looked at the pictures of both of them, and you were sold. You're like, no, it's not the same guy.
Initially,
that was
I
enough
scoffed,
evidence for you as the pictures.
Let's not come out swinging now.
But I believe in flat Earth now too, so I'm pretty gullible.
Whoa.
no shit.
Yeah, dude. We had
Very convincing guests,
So let's bring him up to speed on that one because that's a pretty big deal.
but not global warming.
We had a guy
This
who
is
runs
fucked up, Nick.
who runs the biggest flat Earth podcast out there, David Weiss. I don't know if you've heard of him. We had about a 3-hour discussion with him, and through the course of it all, Armand ended it with basically he believes flat Earth is way more likely than global warming.
Absolutely, that's
so-
for sure. That's true.
So he's a flat earther now, specifically.
Well then,
He's got a flat Earth tattoo.
It's hopeless.
What the
after
fuck,
we
right?
talked about OJ, he goes, well, I was 90% that he was guilty. Now I'm about 70% that he's guilty.
Oh, dude, I still think it was this kid.
It was-
but
yeah,
it's just
well,
me.
that- kid.
That's a little more convincing.
Yeah.
Than somebody, Anyway,
What's this kid's name?
hey, what is this kid?
Jason. That's right.
Jason. That's fitting.
Okay, so then, this is a conspiracy that's been going on for years, since the Beatles, before even the Beatles broke up. And the theory is that Paul McCartney died and was replaced in 1966 with a lookalike. Now, the conspiracy goes that he left the studio one night in his Aston Martin. It was raining, picked up a hitchhiker named Rita, and she recognized him, jumped all over him, and caused the crash. The Beatles were a money-making thing, and they replaced him with a lookalike. Now, during this time, there was a time when Paul McCartney wasn't seen on TV, and everybody was saying, "Excuse me, where's Paul McCartney? Where's Paul McCartney?" And then when they started seeing Paul McCartney again, he looked different. Okay, and that was like in late 1966.
It was November 9th. I think they said the crash was supposedly to have taken place.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, well, it could either be, and I'll get into this later. It
Sure.
could either be September 11th or November 9th, which is 9/11 or 11/9,
Interesting.
which has occult things. We won't
right.
get into
Of course.
that.
Aleister
So,
Crowley.
so the thing is, so they replaced him, and the Beatles wanted you to know about it, but couldn't talk about it. So they put clues in their albums and the art and the like the covers, album covers, and the insets in lyrics, song lyrics. They're kind of telling you about it, and in backwards messages, they're telling you about it. Now, I don't necessarily really believe that theory. I think, if anything, he was murdered, and not he. I don't believe the theory that he died in a car crash.
Interesting.
But on the date specified, one of those dates?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. On one of the clues that that you're given on the Sgt. Pepper's album cover, there's a drum kit on there, and it says, I think it just says Sgt. Pepper's. And if you put a mirror in the middle of Lonely Hearts, right there, it says 1, and then the word 1. 1X, he die. So 119, he die.
Yeah, so here's what it looks like. 119, yeah, IX, he die. It's pretty weird. You can Google this real easy. Just go on Google, type in Sgt. Pepper's cover reversed.
And that's the date, January 19th? Or
Well,
what?
yeah, it's
but
got
if
the
you
same-
use
September 9th.
But if you use the other,
Or
no, that'd
September
be
11th.
September 11th, right?
Right.
But if
November
you use
9th.
the other, the way they do it over in Europe or something, it's
Yes.
like it's November 9th. But
Well, if you do it here, it's 11/9. If you do it over there, it's
9/11.
9/11. Well, September 9th, because they do day month.
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. So either way, it's got an occult reference, and that makes me think that he really didn't die on that day. Could have been sacrificed on that day. A lot of people were. So, we won't get into that. But before I get into some other shit, let me just say, let me go into some like other clues, like on the album.
Please do.
Covers and stuff. The big one that everybody talks about is Abbey Road.
The cover,
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
the
seen
four of them are walking across the street.
Right.
Can I see the picture of it?
Sure.
So it's John in front. He's dressed in white.
Right. He's
in a white
supposedly the clergy, basically.
Oh, is that what that represents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
And then you
Okay.
have
Ringo's in
Ringo in a black, like formal, like tuxedo or whatever. He's the
That speaks
like
for
a
itself.
yeah,
Yes, obviously.
yes. And then you have Paul, who's barefooted, who's walking out of step with the with the
Right.
rest
They're
of
all on
them.
their like left step, and he's on his right backwards on him.
He is the corpse. Okay.
Got it.
And you have George, who is the gravedigger.
Dressed all in denim.
Yeah, the caretaker.
Alas,
So
poor
there's
York.
other things on the Abbey Road album cover. There's the white. See the white beetle back there?
Yes.
Yeah.
It says the license plate is 28 if, like 28 if.
Had he survived.
Right.
I wrote
Ah.
that down, and there's a little bit of discrepancy. There's a little like something's off with that, because let's see. He in fall of 1969, he would have been 27,
Oh, so.
and I did not write down when Abbey Road came out, the exact date.
Let's find out. Abbey Road release.
But it said, but I wrote down in Indian religions, Paul would have been
26th.
in his 28th year.
It came out September 26th in
Eastern
69.
religions. And since I brought that up, Eastern religion, there's also on Sgt. Pepper's, there's a hand behind the head of Paul. And that's an Eastern symbol for death. And the man that's holding the hand is Stephen Crane, who wrote a book
Yes.
about four men that set out on a trip. One dies.
In a boat.
And the three, that's the one.
Stephen Crane. Yeah. I think he killed himself, too.
Well, he was a
The author.
cutout. But
Interesting.
Stephen Crane, yeah. He was,
interesting
he
the way
was-
they
he was
placed that.
nutcase, too.
they would have had to purposely place it that way, too, because every one of these cardboard cutouts in this were perfectly placed the way they were.
Now, if you see there's two sets of Beatles on the album cover.
Right. There's one where they're reversed,
Yeah, there are.
like the back of the cover, I mean.
No, I mean right there on the cover of it. There's two sets of.
Oh,
Beatles.
yeah. They're right there to the left.
They're
They all
adding.
know.
First of all, there's all these people that are on the album cover. They're standing on a grave.
Oh,
What?
well,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And
It
there's
kinda
a-
looks like that,
It's
yeah.
all like the Beatles is spelled out in flowers.
Right. So, like, you see how there's this yellow display, too? A lot of people think that yellow flower display is in the shape of a bass guitar because it's got something laying across it. It almost looks like strings. Another clue that, a bass guitar is what Paul played.
Right.
So another-
Left-handed.
Left-handed, exactly.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me look at what else I got here.
Yeah, dude.
Isn't Hans Hall on that cover?
Shit, dude, there's a billion people on the cover of that. Paul's did. So, White Album, Revolution number 9.
Yes. There's on the backward. Let's see. I don't know if that one's backwards or.
Yeah, it is. That's the one where at the beginning of it we're saying number 9.
But if
Number
you-
9.
Yeah.
But if you listen to that, that's right. If you listen to the background of that, supposedly you can hear a car accident, and you can hear like people talking, and it's like it's all
Let's see. I got a video here. Spooky Revolution
yeah.
number 9. So yeah, YouTube made us remove the music from here. Just imagine you're hearing number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, shit like that. Pick up the White Album. It's on the second album or second CD, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, here comes the rest of the episode. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is it backwards.
So in Revolution number 9, Turn Me On, Dead Man. That's backwards. Revolution number 9. But supposedly you hear
Yes, I heard that.
you hear a surgeon.
Well,
No,
shit.
I'm sorry. You hear the words hitting light pole, seeing a surgeon, went to see the dentist, screaming, my wings are broken, There's what sounds like flames between the shoulder blades. There are absolution, sacraments, final rites. Take this, brother, may it serve you well.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird, creepy shit on the front end, the forward and backwards of that album, that's for sure.
Man, think about how much time you'd have to put into singing a song, to creating a song.
The backmask it, like.
To backmask it, you know
Here,
what I mean?
So it wasn't for
Yeah,
nothing.
it's
You know what I
weird,
mean?
dude.
God, there's others.
Let's see what we got here. Yeah, they this actually on October 12th, 1969, a guy actually called into a Detroit radio host, and they played this on live on the air, which really pushed this out into the forefront too. So it wasn't really well known until the guy actually did it live on the air, and people all over the Detroit
that's
area
when it
turned
kinda
me on, Dead Men.
Went viral.
Right, so to speak, what viral
Yes,
was back in the
right.
60s.
In the Magical Mystery Tour album came out with a 24-page booklet. The Beatles are all wearing white suits. 3 of the Beatles are wearing carnations, red carnations. Paul's wearing a black carnation.
I think they're fucking with you by that point.
Yeah, maybe are they? Yeah, you think they're just? You think they had a sense of humor and thought, well, let's just play with this and see if we can,
Paul McCartney, the person you know as Paul McCartney,
Yes.
Sir Paul, we'll call him, or Fall, they call him, fake Paul.
Doppelganger.
And look, I'm a big Beatles fan, and I'm a fan of Sir Paul. Okay, let me
Okay.
put that ass covering disclaimer out there. But I'm so tired. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm so tired. Says Paul is dead. In the backwards, it's Paul is dead now. Miss him.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Nick. Is it possible that once all this, they learned that this was going around, they thought, this is great. Let's just, potentiate this and
Okay.
get in on the joke.
You guys want to hear it? I'm so tired, played backwards.
Yeah.
So you hear Paul's dead. This is the ending of the song played backwards.
Well, Sir Paul, as I was going to say, you asked me that, does not really like bringing this up. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let me, there's so many album clues and, there's backwards messages, lyrics. This happened in 1966.
Allegedly.
Sgt. Pepper's came out in 1966. And supposedly the replacement, his name is Billy, or William Billy. Now, in what's the song? Is it in Sgt. Pepper's? He says,
May we
"Let my-
introduce to you
Billy Shears, yeah.
the
one and only
active-
Billy Shears.
The one and only Billy Shears.
Sgt. Pepper's. That's a
So
good
then,
jam.
right after that comes With a Little Help from My Friends, and then Billy Shears starts singing. He says, "What would you do if I sang out of tune?"
Was that Paul supposedly singing?
Yeah,
Well, it was
no,
Billy
it was-
supposedly singing, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, I
But
think
Paul
it's
sung
actually
that, yeah.
George singing that song, that
Was it?
verse.
oh, is
I
that,
thought it was if
the
I sang
George
out
singing.
of tune, would you stand up and walk out on me? What
Right,
would you
like-
do if I thought you sang out a tune or sang out of tune.
sang
out.
out of tune, right? Of
Yeah,
tune. Yeah.
It's kind of like saying, if you notice that I'm not Paul, are you
Yeah.
still gonna dig the Beatles? You know?
But what I'm saying is there any chance that they were in on the joke and just kind of
sure,
doing
but,
all this stuff?
Paul was quoted as saying in the
but
late
the-
60s that this rumor was the dumbest fucking thing he'd ever said or heard in his life.
Well, that's exactly what a body double would say.
No, not Paul. Sorry.
right.
Sorry, John said that.
Oh, John said that?
Yeah.
John,
Oh, yeah.
John
Of course, covering his ass.
John or
Yes.
Paul always thought it was funny. He's like, I'd be the last person they tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I
good
don't
accent.
think. Now, the story goes is that they got a guy from a lookalike contest to stand in for Paul. Now, there's no way they found somebody that soon, gave him plastic surgery, you know what I mean, and then put him out there.
Fucking unlikely, yeah.
He was in the backyard the whole time. See, the Beatles were not what you think they were. There are some people that
Here
think
we go.
that all 4 Beatles were replaced. I'm serious.
okay.
I don't want to go there right now because I'm not so much a believer in that as
But
I am.
did
at
all
Paul.
4 have a backup just in case something like this happened? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Kind of like
Well,
Melania.
they were like
Hillary has one.
It was like an intelligence. They were
That's
were
an ugly
a
woman.
creation of the Tavistock Institute. Okay, they were a social experiment.
Oh.
John Lennon even said in Playboy right before he was killed, assassinated. Interview with Playboy magazine blew the lid off the fact that the Beatles were part of massive experimentation in social control, engineering, unleashed by Tavistock and other intel agencies. as was the deliberate introduction of drugs like LSD into the counterculture scene in the 60s and 70s.
You think they would have replaced Lennon, though, being assassinated like that? Why wouldn't they have...
Maybe it's easier to do, Paul.
Okay, let's go somewhere else. Let's just stick with Paul, okay? Why Paul?
Yes,
I think
why?
Paul probably was murdered, okay? Because he didn't want to go along with shit they wanted him to do. Do you remember
I'm not putting up with this shit.
the
Shite.
people call it the Butcher album? They're like in butcher clothes, and there's
Which one's that?
I'm looking.
they put this album out, and originally the cover
Yesterday and today, yeah.
had these yesterday and today, thank you. And they had originally they had like baby dolls like with blood on them, like pieces of them.
Yeah, they had torn up baby dolls and like
that
hunks
looks
of
rough.
meat. Like
Looks
it looks
rough.
just like shanks of meat from a fucking cow strewn about with them. It's not that bad. It's not that bad by today's standards, anyway. I'm sure back then it was pretty.
What that went
Dead
to
babies, meat and blood.
it was recalled like immediately.
Looks pretty tame to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, by today's
yeah, that's
standards,
right.
hell. But anyway, it was recalled immediately, and the reason why they did that is what that symbolizes is like satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah.
Children being,
And
you know,
Paul wouldn't stand for
mind
this.
control, like they're exactly. They dismembered the baby dolls because it's like dismembering of the child.
Well, wouldn't they
mind.
just get a replacement like they did Pete Best? Why would they go to all this trouble?
Well, they were an experiment. They put this out. They were an experiment with many experiments. You know what I mean? They could have just, maybe Paul didn't even die. Maybe they just wanted to show you, see, let's take this guy out and let's put him in and let's just see how many people believe it. And then we'll see, how much control. Let's see if we really can pull that off. I don't really think it's just to see if we can pull it off. I think it's a social experiment.
That's what I was gonna say. I doubt they do it just for let's see if we can
Yeah,
pull it off.
just-
That's
yeah,
the
they're not,
risk on that because
it's not
what
a
if you can't pull it
$5
off?
bet.
You know what I mean? There's always the what if you can't pull it off and then you're fucked.
Right. So this was.
Tuskegee
I
didn't
think
think
they
about
had
True.
Paul in the backyard the whole time, and then see. I also think
Can
there
we
were
say
two
fake
el-
Paul and regular Paul?
Fake
just
Paul.
just
yeah.
so that I'm
Yeah, sure.
New Paul, old Paul?
I think
Paul,
fake Paul was they had fake Paul all along.
Okay,
You know what
okay.
I mean? I think all the Beatles knew about it. Oh, by the way, do you know who fake Paul really is?
No.
Could be the son of Aleister Crowley.
Oh, yeah, we
good.
talked
Well,
about
now
that.
would be good.
That's right.
Check this out.
All right, that's okay then.
I'd be
I
interested
like
to hear
that
this
theory.
story. Yeah.
There's
Son of the
Who's
most
Alistair
evil,
Bourne?
the most evil man in England.
It's pronounced England.
can't remember where.
Thank you,
there
Sir
we go.
Eric.
All
Problem,
right.
Mike.
Yeah, he put out an album called The King of Cosmania. Okay.
Alistair did?
No.
No,
Paul McCartney.
Faux
I never heard of
Paul.
that one.
Now,
Fake
if
Paul.
you scramble those words, it's son of the magician, but it's with a CK. But check this out. He also did an album called Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. Scramble those words up. He died in a car crash on a batty conch.
On a what?
On a what?
On a batty conch.
What the fuck's a batty conch? I know batty's like weird or something, like messed up.
I'm seeing what the conch is.
Conk is you conk somebody in the head, right?
Oh, a weird hit. He died from a
Cudgel.
weird hit.
He died on a batty conch. I don't understand it, but it's what it is.
Well, that's an Anglicism, I guess. Can you give us that one, Eric? And
Check it out.
The
By
Queen's
the way,
English.
the guy that I wrote this down. The guy that designed the album cover, the drum kit. Okay, Pete. What was his name? Peter Max. I don't want to give it the credit to the right guy, the wrong guy, but
Yeah, it's Peter Max.
Yeah, Peter Max designed Sgt. Pepper's album cover. Okay, except for the drum skin that was designed. The credit goes to Joe F. Grave, who doesn't exist. F. Grave,
F. Grave.
Epitaph,
I
Grave.
got it.
You know what I mean?
And this theory pulls in so many maybes,
Yeah.
But if you so
but it's so many of them together.
here's the thing. Let's go with in 2009, these two Italian forensic pathologists set out to prove that this was not. This was all bullshit.
Dispel
yes.
this notion.
And they ended up believing it.
oh,
And they
okay.
published their
Well,
findings
I always knew Italians were a little dumb.
in a 2009 Wired magazine.
Cut
I think
that
it was
line.
August.
No, we're keeping that in.
And that week, the week that it went out, Paul went on, Fake Paul went on David Letterman and talked about it.
Is that where he did his
says-
famous
What did they
Imagine
base
speech there?
So what did they base their
What's that?
You know, he's like, can you? Oh no, that was Captain Kangaroo where he did that. Yeah, never mind.
What did they base these pathologists? Why'd they change their minds? Do you have?
Oh, they were just like space between the eyes and ears, and they said that he had a different shaped skull.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was pretty close if you ask me.
It's a lot of stuff.
Boy, I don't know.
Have you seen the photographic
Nick's
evidence?
got, what are those pictures
it's
you
close
showed me?
because it worked. You know what I mean? But it's he looks like Paul. James Paul.
But does he have?
McCartney,
I mean, is he actually doing the singing? I mean, because
And
he's got a
check
lot of
this out.
talent too. If
Check
this guy's
this
a
out.
phony.
Do you remember the '80s movie with Paul McCartney? Give my regards to Broad Street.
Never seen it.
Horrible.
It doesn't sound like it'd be that good.
Okay.
But there's a scene where he walks in to this studio, and the guy introduces him to one of the studio technicians. He says, "You know William? William?" You know what I mean? It's like he's trying to tell you something.
That's weird.
Also, the Love album. When did the Love album came out? That was like a greatest hits album.
Yeah, it was like a couple years ago because it came out with the show, didn't it? Like a Cirque du Soleil show. I think that it came out with to support that.
Did it?
Let me look.
Yeah, I think
Beatles.
rings a bell. But if you take a mirror
Yeah, it was from a Cirque du Soleil show.
and put it in the middle of the word love on the album cover, it spells out code.
If you put what in the middle of love?
Like a mirror. Just like you did on the
yeah,
drum
yeah, okay, I
skin
know exactly
of
what you're talking
the
about,
Sgt. Pepper's one. Yeah.
Let's take a look. I'm sure this is all available here.
So that's a nice side by side right there of Paul and Paul. Fake
Yeah.
Paul, real Paul.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Of course, he's an old man. That's
Yeah,
the one on the right.
I'm not seeing the love one. I'm gonna have to look into that one a little more. That's one I hadn't heard yet. Actually, it's pretty new to me.
I was wondering what if you were like George Harrison, and you knew all this on your deathbed. You know, you had cancer and you knew you were going to die. You wouldn't spill the beans. You don't think that he would?
Well, somebody tried to kill him.
I'd spill the beans.
Maybe he did spill the beans.
Oh,
It just didn't get out. But someone did break into his house with a knife. Do you remember that?
That I
I
don't.
don't remember it.
It's because their guitar was gently weeping.
Oh, that was Eric Clapton. He actually did the guitar solo.
Also on the
Yeah.
a backwards message on one of the songs, "I Buried Paul," and John Lennon actually admitted that to putting a backwards message on that album on that.
Yeah, that's
song,
from Strawberry Fields.
But
Like,
he said that he was saying, I'm not saying I buried Paul, I'm saying cranberry sauce, which makes no sense.
I also read it too that he didn't say cranberry sauce. He actually said cranberries, Paul. But there's people that say cranberry sauce. There's some people say cranberries, Paul.
Why would somebody say cranberries, Paul?
Let me find the.
What, like red? Red cranberries are red.
No,
blood,
he was
blood, Paul's
reminding
dead?
him about
I don't
something.
know.
Cranberries, Paul.
Like fetch the fucking cranberries, mate.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Let me find out here. I don't know. Most of them say
the
cranberry
only one.
sauce,
I
like
am the only
Nick
one.
says. You can find it out there if you look for it. There's one that just claims he says cranberries, Paul. But either which way, it's not Paul is dead or I buried Paul.
What was this on? Strawberry Fields?
Yeah, let me see. I got it queued up here on YouTube. Let's see if we can hear.
Well, let's hear it, mate.
Sounds very similar to actually how it actually sounds. Yeah, this is normal, isn't it?
Oh. Well, certainly not Strawberry Fields forward. It's not forward.
Do you remember how Strawberry Fields starts? Because it ends out of that other
Strawberry
song.
Fields reprise.
And something
Yeah.
in eyes of gold. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah, but
dun,
the way it
dun,
comes out from
dun,
another
dun.
song with that like calliope sound.
Yeah, yes, 100% remember what you're talking about. I know.
This is like exactly what it sounds like forward. Very close.
You can tell the drum beats are backwards.
Here's Get Back,
That's JoJo.
which is going forward like normal direction. So, what a shit video. Like, what a shit. Whoever, I'm going to lambast these. Guns 1086. Eat a dick. Your video is horrible.
Eat
All right,
a
moving
dick,
on.
he says.
And this is a big question. Like in 1966, their manager, Brian Epstein, made a statement that Paul is still with the band, but they're done touring. And they didn't tour after 1966.
True.
What's the pedo Epstein? The pedo that has the island? Epstein?
Oh, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably his
No
son.
relation?
No, yeah, right.
There you go, Eric.
So what was their last? Wasn't their last? Was it Candlestick Park?
I don't know if that was their last
No, they had after that, they had one like on top of a store inside San
but-
Francisco. They did one in London, I believe. Like very similar rooftops.
But those are more
Right. That's not a tour.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In February of '96, the Beatles put out the Anthology series, or Anthology 2 in 96.
I had all 3 of those.
I remember that.
Paul spent $12 million at the very last minute. They were shipped, like
It was
ready
Candlestick.
to go be shipped to the stores, and Paul stopped the shipment to this. Spent $12 million, bought 2.5 million copies, and had them all burned.
Really?
Yes.
Of Anthology?
Yes.
Wow.
I wonder if I still
said
got those in
the
my
reason
basement.
was because
Collector's
2
item.
songs needed to be replaced on there.
Huh.
He burned them, huh?
He is also the fake Paul is the world's he has the world's largest collection of early Beatle memorabilia.
Just to hide that shit, huh?
Just to hide that.
Hell
shit.
yeah, of course you would. You're trying to secure your lie.
Did you remember the song they added to the first Anthology, that Free as a Bird?
I loved that.
That was a good song, wasn't it?
That was great,
Yeah. I don't know, it just made me think of
I
it.
do remember.
Yeah.
Now, in,
Always made me feel so free as a bird.
Yeah, no,
It's a good jam.
I don't know that one.
I don't know when this was done. This voice testing by Dr. Henry Truby did voice testing and said that Yesterday and Hey Jude were definitely 2 different singers.
Really?
Yes.
2 fucking awesome songs, too.
Who's the guy that said that? What's his name?
Dr. Henry Truby.
I assume that's what he does is like voice analysis, right?
Yeah. I'd like to have him not analyze that the alternate Beatles album from the other timeline.
To have him analyze Eric's English accent.
He would be like, mate, that's fucking
Get
perfect.
him on the show.
Hey, that's fucking perfect. I doubt he'd say that.
Yeah. Phony.
In 1966, when like Paul was gone for a while, and then he like came back and then looked different and everything, he was in Kenya, and there's footage of him like making his own like movies in Kenya, like with his little Super 8 camera.
Yeah.
And when he returned, he went with a guy, kind of a roadie, probably a handler, named Mal Evans. Okay, when they got back from Kenya, Mal Evans fired Paul's longtime butler, and this butler said he never saw him again, like never saw him again. Now Mal Evans, knew everything about Paul, was always around Paul. In January of '76, Mal Evans spoke to a friend, told him he worked out some problems with Paul and would receive royalties for songs that he had written. He sounded worried. He said, if anything happens to me, make sure my book is published. And it was called Living the Beatles, something like that. And he was killed that day, shot 4 hours later after that phone call by police. One of the patrol officer, actually, the lead patrol officer, was a JFK investigator. Charles Higbee was his name.
Small world.
So the guy that investigated Paul's death was also investigated.
No. The guy that shot.
The guy that shot Mal Evans, his
right.
roadie guy, was Charles Higbee. He was a former JFK investigator.
Nice.
You know, assuming that he did get in a car accident, let's say that happened. You know, look at Robert Plant. He had a bad. He never looked the same.
He looks horrible these days.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I mean,
he had a
obviously
bad
he's fucking
accident.
75. But,
Same thing with Mark Hamill. You know, Luke Skywalker. He looks.
Sure.
I mean, and Montgomery Clift. That was the same thing. He never looked the same after he had that accident, real bad accident.
that's true.
During this time in 1966, Paul was working with a man named Mark Lane, who wrote a book called Rush to Judgment. It was the first book about the John F. Kennedy assassination, like conspiracy.
Was that guy on the Warren Commission?
And no, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe so. I don't know. I don't think so. But he was Paul. He wanted to make a documentary of it, and Paul wanted to do the music, wanted to do the score for this, and was interested in it. By the way, John Belushi met with Mark Lane like 2 nights before he died, and Freddie Prinze, who supposedly shot himself, in his living room when they found him, he had like a reel-to-reel of the Zapruder film.
Really?
Yeah. And Lenny Bruce talked about that. You know what I mean? And then
He
was
died
killed
under
also.
mysterious circumstance.
Yeah, so-
Suicide, apparently.
Comedians should not talk about.
So the line we're drawing here.
Tragedians also shouldn't talk about it.
So I'm clear. The line we're drawing here is that the JFK assassination is in some way tied to this?
Nah,
Not
it's not what he's
directly,
saying.
not directly, but through the same people. They're involved with both operations.
A lot of weird
which-
connections.
A lot of weird connections there, right? Is that what you're saying?
Like John, yes, like John Lennon said that they were part of a social experimentation with Tavistock and other intelligence agencies. Said this in Playboy right before he was killed.
I just follow Tavistock on Twitter, just to see what they
Yeah,
what
that
they're about.
I should do that actually. But what I find is
So what is the motive for this murder? What are you saying?
to keep him quiet. He didn't want to
About-
go
Yeah, he wasn't going along with
it.
the plan, man.
Well,
you know?
maybe they just said, you know what, you're done. Your twin brother's going to come in here now,
obsolete.
and
And the plan was what?
Oh well, I mean, okay.
What's this grand?
Here's one New World Order.
Okay, well, I'll buy that.
Like the James Paul, real Paul, was not into like talking. Like he wanted a clean image. Didn't want to talk about LSD or pot or anything like that. And then the new Paul, post 66 Paul, is talking about.
Well, that's where they all
tripping.
become hippies, Ravi Shankar phase,
Right,
that sort
I
of
remember
thing.
that,
He
yeah.
talked about LSD, and then everybody went crazy. Not just because of him. Okay,
Right.
But it was because of the LSD.
So they're using them as some kind of
I mean-
control of the masses.
Well, I mean, celebrities for years have been used that way. They're still being used that way. You know what I mean? We all know that.
Only listeners of this show know that.
There's another little thing
Everybody
on
knows
the
that
Sgt.
online.
Pepper's cover. He's got this patch on his arm that it looks like it says OPD, which would be officially pronounced dead. But I think it's been squashed, and it doesn't say OPD. It says OPP, which is Ontario Provincial Police.
It's other people's property.
The last letter looks doctored. I think that last letter looks doctored.
There's
To
so many
make you
different
think
photos
that
of
it's
it, though.
either this or that, and just to get people talking, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. But,
I know
mean,
they show an official picture of that patch, like from an actual uniform. It looks just like what he has on his arm, and it says OPP.
Okay.
So that one's a little weird.
There's a
but-
theory
with
that,
OPP?
that he was a
I am not.
police officer. That he was a police officer at one time, but I don't.
That fake Paul was?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's
That-
got to have a
with
day
the
job.
Ontario police.
Now, you preface this
But I don't really-
show by saying you weren't convinced. You sound pretty
Oh
convinced.
no! I'm convinced that it's two different
Okay.
people.
All right. You're
I'm
all right.
totally
okay.
convinced.
So you just don't buy the Rita.
And let me tell you-
the Rita explanation.
Right. And
Okay.
I,
Get that
it's
straight.
not it's not these album cover clues or anything like that make me think this. It's right what I can see with my own eyes. Also, Heather Mills, Paul's this is a big whammy.
I have a connection to her.
His ex-wife that he married after Linda died.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Was she the one with one leg?
Yes, they had this big. Excuse me.
That's how I know her. Well, not know her. I know. So one of her best friends was a lady named Loretta Goebbels. She was a multiple amputee. She had some sort of infection, had to lose both of her feet, most of one hand and all the other hand. Anyway, they had been together. Heather Mills wrote the foreword to her book. I did her website and a whole bunch of other stuff for her.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's my closest thing to the Beatles.
One hell of an infection.
Yeah.
Hopefully
good
that's-
book.
Hopefully that's the
It's
closest
called
you get
Life
to
in Parts.
So she was on
necrotizing fasciitis.
She was on television when they divorced.
When did they
saying
get
that-
married? Oh, Linda died, what, 73?
No, Linda died in the 90s.
Recently.
didn't she?
Oh, 90s.
Get
Linda-
Mandela, Armand. Shit.
I know. All right, whatever. But so,
So she was saying
98.
oh, wow.
that she was worried for her daughter's life, and that basically she said somebody that was very near to me. She couldn't say Paul. She says betrayed me in a very horrible way, not with infidelity or anything. She says, but betrayed me. She said the fans, Beatles fans, do not want to know the truth. They'd be devastated, and they wouldn't be able to handle it.
Linda said this?
No. This is
Heather Mills.
Heather Mills said this.
Paul's gay? I mean, dead? Oh.
And
We could handle that.
She's like, I'm trying to protect me and my daughter, and she says, I have a box of information, and should something happen to me,
I would think
she
they
says,
could.
but I'm keeping the truth to myself to protect Paul right now.
I'm surprised some
and to protect me. And
radical conspiracy theorists didn't just take her out so that box would get revealed. I mean, think about it. That's a pretty cheap price to pay.
Oh man.
I don't know why these don't do. Can't you? Aren't his parents? He's got to have relatives alive. There should be a DNA
Snap,
test.
DNA.
Of course.
Okay.
Damn it, internet, get on this.
Well, you would think.
I don't
Put it to
remember-
rest right away.
I don't remember where I heard this because there's just so much information out there. But supposedly he was in when he got busted in Japan
Yeah.
for the pot. They kept him so long because there was some kind of issue with his fingerprints not matching up.
Oh, well, that would do it too.
So,
But they swept that under the rug, I guess, huh?
It's pretty
Cleared
hard
that
to
up?
like
of course, intelligence.
fake your identity nowadays. Back then, I don't think it would have been too tough. But nowadays, I bet it's damn near impossible to pass yourself along government channels as someone else.
I started to think there were 2 Lady Gagas.
Dude, the facial recognition
now I don't
technology,
anymore.
even in my phone, would be enough probably to tell a fake Paul from a real Paul.
Supposedly there are 2 Putins.
I can unlock
there
your phone
was
with my face.
that Putin was replaced, and Saddam Hussein they hung the imposter. They hung the double.
Oh, they hung the double?
Yeah,
I heard he
that
talked shit the whole
Saddam's
time.
wife came in to visit him and ran out screaming, "What have you done with my husband?"
Fucking invasion of the body snatchers going on this episode.
No, it's Diamonds Are Forever. Remember the 3 Blofelds?
No, man, you only seen diamonds
man.
once.
Oh, you got to.
But doubles have been used, for a long time.
I mean, Melania right now, people are saying Melania's using a double all the time.
forever.
So, have you heard about that?
The world's not enough. Yeah, I've heard that. Melania's got a body double. Mm-hmm. They say Hillary had one too. Sure.
Boy, that's an ugly body.
Wonder how much power she has. Like, she get people killed too?
Pantsuit double.
Hillary?
Hillary's double.
You know she kills people.
No, Hillary's double. She got the power.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Not
Double O
double.
Hillary.
Yeah. Double O Hillary.
License to kill.
License to ill, because that bitch makes me sick. Oh, got him.
That's one thing we all agree on, that one. Yeah.
We're enough trampling on Hillary now.
She may run, I made a bet with Tony that she was going to run.
That's your
I think
evidence
so.
that you made a bet?
No, I'm just saying that I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Ew.
You shouldn't do that.
I'll lose
Armand,
it.
money has germs.
No, it doesn't. Money is clean.
All right, so where are we at?
Mountain Dew is filthy. Septic. All right, where are we, Nick?
What about the song Glass Onion?
Glass Onion?
It says in that song, here's another clue for you all.
Oh, I'm okay. That's
The
true.
walrus was Paul.
Yeah.
Not that that really means anything to Paul's dead, but that was a clue.
I don't know. It
regarding
sounds
Paul.
cryptic to me.
And I think a glass onion is like what's on a coffin.
Sure. I can make
Something
like
on
a sarcophagus or something like that where you've got multiple layers.
Yes, yeah.
Could be. That was a good jam, though. White Album.
I don't know that one.
White Album. Yeah. You need to take the Beatles a little bit more seriously in your life and go through their whole discography.
Well, I mean,
again.
they weren't a big
Yeah,
band or
you
anything.
need to
so,
take
I
this
feel like
show more
they're just
seriously.
Not
Your preparation is shoddy.
Yeah.
Armand, mate, you never do any fucking preparation, mate. How many fucking
check
notes
this
have you
out.
taken
I
today?
just add color, not information.
What
A
do you
lot
got,
of
Nick?
clues point to that he died of a head wound.
Okay.
That he
What?
blew his mind out in the car.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking
He
about
didn't notice
not
that the
forensic
light has
evidence. You're
changed.
talking about
Right, of course,
yes,
right, in the
these,
theories, of
these
course.
cryptic comments in there.
Crowd of people turned away.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of the other one.
close.
That's the beginning of Strawberry Fields, isn't it?
No.
what's
Day in the
wrong?
Life.
Yeah, Day in the
Day in
Life.
the Life.
Sergeant Pepper's.
Yeah. It's the next song after
So
that.
what was the last album he would have actually been real Paul on? What would that have been?
56,
Oh, that
right?
was the one before Sergeant Pepper's.
Okay,
Let's
so you
get
think
the,
they would be able to detect maybe
Beatles,
something in the voice, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, like I just
And
said,
that's
like
what this guy is. That what this guy that
Yeah.
you're talking
Did that
about?
what was the
went
doctor's
by?
name?
Dr. Henry Truby.
Yeah, don't forget
Armand,
the
I think
Italian
you should
pathologist.
be able to take like a recording of like a concert that they did in
Well, that's what I'm saying.
64,
Apparently that's
and
what the
then
guy
make a
did.
recording of a concert that they did in
Well,
74.
the 2 Italian pathologists, I don't know the extent of what they did. Most of it was facial stuff that I've read.
Well, let's keep in mind that Italian pathology is still in its infancy.
These guys released so many albums in such a rapid fire state. Revolver would have been the one right before Sgt. Pepper's.
That's a good album. Great album.
So, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I was getting at something with the head wound thing. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you were talking about
Sorry.
that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so seen Rosemary's Baby?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Now, that takes place, that's about
no,
a
Rosemary.
satanic cult that's in the Dakota apartment building in
correct.
New York City. That's where John Lennon lived.
And was
He
shot
lived
at.
Died,
in Dakota,
yes.
and that's okay. Now, in the movie Rosemary's Baby, in that part of the building where John Lennon died, like 10 years later or whatever,
Yeah.
there's a white Beetle parked in front of it, and a man,
a Volkswagen, right?
yes, and a man dead on the ground with a head wound, right where John Lennon was shot. But with the Abbey Road Beetle on it.
And Mia Farrow had a really weird haircut too.
What's that got to do with anything?
See, you're just not sharp enough to pick up on these clues.
Yeah, but where's Mia Farrow coming? Woody Allen? Is that what you're talking about? I guess that's
I think it was a depiction of death from the follicles.
Have you ever? Do you know who
I think you're crazy.
in going?
And it was
over this
directed
stuff,
by,
do you know who John Holliday is? Okay,
Other than Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday, yeah.
check
right.
this guy out.
Very good.
He is the caretaker at a tourist attraction, I think in Liverpool. Maybe it's not Liverpool, but it's a Paul McCartney's boyhood home. And this man that takes care of that place looks like Paul McCartney, James Paul McCartney.
Real Paul or fake Paul?
Real Paul.
So the guy that takes. Oh, so you're saying
Yeah.
that maybe he retired back there
Yeah.
as the caretaker.
There
of
was
his
another
childhood
guy
home.
the custodian that was working there that looked like the young John Lennon.
Ah, there's a screenplay.
Clones.
Roman Polanski directed Rosemary's Baby too.
In the research, in going over some stuff last week,
You know what happened to his wife?
There are people that think that he was a clone, that he was a robot.
Well, a clone isn't a robot.
Right? No, robotoid was the word they used.
Isn't that a cough suppressant?
I take Robotoid DM.
Yes, it makes me sleepy.
Robotoid.
Have you ever heard that term before?
I have not heard Robotoid. Sounds cool, though.
Star Wars, Robotoid Wars.
Hey, whoa! You take it easy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to mock your series.
So what do you guys think? You think Paul was replaced?
No.
I'm gonna throw some at you, some truths right here.
You gonna fuck us up with some truth?
Yeah,
If Paul was
we've had
replaced in
enough
1966,
Yes.
the Paul we've had since '66 is really the only Paul we know. He is our Paul.
He's been Paul longer than Paul was Paul.
Exactly.
Here's a big one to old Paul.
So he is
You were
Paul.
barely here. He is Paul.
Yeah, he's
Who the
Paul.
fuck you
Paul
think
was
you are trying to bring yourself up in these conspiracies, little Paul?
well. The original
the other
Paul
one
was
was
an
better.
imposter. This guy's the real Paul. He's been long, right?
I mean, more or less.
is that what qualifies? No, I guess not.
No,
my logic is specious.
He's the guy they stuck in there, and
Yes, but if he's been Paul longer than the actual
he's
Paul,
the man.
he's Paul.
You know what I mean?
What if the first Paul wasn't Paul either?
So who played with wings?
Fake Paul, but
fake
Paul.
Fake Paul.
Yeah, fake Paul, of course.
Our Paul.
Yeah.
Our Paul.
Yeah.
Wings is better. He's better in Wings.
Wings is
So,
pretty
but
good.
is that now? What are you saying that this fake Paul was engineered the same way the real Paul was?
Yes.
Okay.
Or-
Because
Oh no!
I mean,
no,
he's got all the
no,
talent.
No, no,
I think he's
sorry,
more
no.
talented.
No, I don't. I think he was groomed. Yeah, they were probably groomed at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. If they're
Or-
cloned, they're from the same line. But then they'd be exact duplicates.
The Beatles, when they were like real young, I think maybe they were spotted by some intel agencies or by somebody from Tavistock, and they went searching for the doubles, and then they got with them.
Think about this. If you're an intelligence community looking for some sort of social experiment like that, and you saw what happened with Elvis maybe less than 10 years earlier, and the amount of like hysteria caused behind it, and you see something on the horizon, another artist or group of artists that has the potential to have the hysteria surround him like Elvis is, you might take a shot at that.
When did Elvis die?
Elvis died in the 70s, but his
77.
hysteria was started in the 50s. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, but isn't that?
Elvis mania.
But I would think they would do that with more than one band then, because you can put
probably-
well, that's what I'm saying. Are they all like this? Because I mean, half the Who
Who's
and
to say?
everybody else.
Okay.
How do you know the
I'd
Beatles are
love
going to be as
respond
successful?
To what he said is
Please do.
because I believe there were two Elvis Presleys.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Oh boy.
You-
How about Colonel Tom Parker?
I read this man's theory on it, and then I
Sanders.
thought he put words to what I've always thought. I'm like, some of these pictures don't look like, well, that's Elvis, but it doesn't. I really believe they were two different people. Now, supposedly he had a brother that was stillborn,
Sure.
a twin brother.
correct.
And I don't believe that. I believe he had a twin, and that they were twins. I believe they were groomed and to be in that spot, and they were groomed. They were taught to play guitar, piano, sing.
Jesse Garone.
Yeah, Elvis, Aaron, and Jesse Garrett. And I actually just bought
brother.
a calendar of an Elvis calendar at a garage sale, just because I saw there was like a collage of pictures of them on every month, and I'm like, that's not the same guy as that guy. You gotta
Old Elvis and young Elvis.
There's
Now,
one-
but is this part of the conspiracy you're talking about? The globalists and to somehow
Well, yeah,
mesmerize our youth.
I mean, yeah.
Doesn't have to
So
be
who else?
globalists.
Well, how about the rest? Okay, so
Probably
there are
was,
other big stars. Would that apply to them too?
Well, I mean, if you want to get into it,
Yeah, I
there's
do.
there's a great book called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by a man that's been murdered, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. suddenly
He
got
should have
cancer
been.
and died.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just, I don't
Okay.
want to even talk lightly of it. But anyway, so that book, his research points out that that all of these 60s, notable 60s artists are all from Laurel Canyon.
Oh.
And they
If you
all
have your headphones on, you
have
hear that. We can hear every time you move that.
family in military intelligence.
Jim Morrison.
Jim
Well,
Morrison.
Morrison.
Yeah.
Admiral.
Yeah, his father, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which they admit was a false flag. But
Well, not quite
the
at
ship
that
that was
tone.
used in that was decommissioned on the day that Jim Morrison allegedly died. Like their mission was up, so
Was that the Maddox?
you know what I mean? It's weird.
You know how
think
many?
so.
You know how many people there? I just Googled for just shits and grins. How many people have been reported dead and then actually were just replaced? Like it starts out with Paul McCartney, obviously, but there's rumors that Alice Cooper had been replaced. That Abe Vigoda of all people had been
What
replaced.
the hell's that?
He was in. The only thing you would know him from is Look Who's Talking. He was the grandpa with the bushy eyebrows.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy,
Godfather.
Tessio.
Yeah, Tessio.
Yeah, can't do it, Sally.
Bob Hope, Brittany and Justin, fucking Avril Lavigne. We talked about.
I
Will
told
Ferrell,
you.
Steve freaking Jobs, one of the Jonas Brothers.
Steve Jobs?
Okay,
Steve Jobs?
So many of these.
I
people.
think some people have been cloned. I think maybe Johnny Depp has been cloned.
Bieber.
I think Dave Chappelle has been cloned. You read any of that?
Something's,
I've heard-
something's off with Dave Chappelle.
He's been cloned.
Something off with that man.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and to what purpose?
Michael Jackson, I believe Michael Jackson's was cloned, and the clone died.
Ah. Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, even if you clone someone, that means they have the same genotype. But that doesn't mean he's going to be able to sing and perform like Paul McCartney.
Oh,
As far as you know, I mean, you
Well,
don't know
I
how
don't
they
think
make these
so.
clones.
right.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
clone
I don't-
Albert
I don't- I
Einstein.
don't
That doesn't
think
mean he's going to come
Paul-
up with a theory of relativity.
I don't
by any
believe
means.
Paul was cloned.
Oh, okay.
That's not my.
Right.
I don't believe.
But that's what I'm saying. With this cloning thing, they still have to have a certain amount of talent to put it over. It's not like they're cloning like Everett, who has no talent.
Well, when you're brought,
All he needs a beard.
2
True.
years
You're Everett.
of probably training nothing but doing that, I'm sure they'll
Oh,
get
okay.
it. You
Well,
know
you
what I
think
mean?
so?
If I spend no time but trying to imitate Michael Jackson and learn how to dance like Michael Jackson, I'll do a damn good job in 2 years, or you know what I mean, or probably less.
Yes, but could
Dude,
you,
you'll have
could
it
you
in 8
fondle
months.
children like Michael Jackson?
That is
Probably-
not true.
that's-
Anybody could with the proper motivation.
There was a monkey.
Oh,
Was it Bubbles?
no. Here's
I
blowing
don't
bubbles.
believe. I don't believe that.
Nice try there,
Just
Armand.
stirring it up.
Yes, thank you. That was
Told him
best
shot me.
best use to that yet.
Hey, I object to that. Where are my team members on this?
Yeah,
Let's have a.
Blue
fuck
R
Everett.
left.
Yeah, nobody's Team Armand. They're all Team Eric.
Everett's the line. Oh, that was you though. Said that.
No, hell
Oh,
no.
check this out. Also, Paul McCartney. Let's not get too off subject. Paul McCartney, his height has changed. He's taller than John after 1966.
Now that's
You know
damn
Jane
near-
that
Asher?
could-
He had
that
a
could be-
girlfriend named Jane Asher. Okay. Now this is a lot of
fiance,
people.
right? Weren't they engaged for a while?
Yes.
Yeah.
And people point to like, well, wait a second. That was in the same years. What did she start hanging out with the replacement?
Yeah.
Well, yes, she did, because it was all arranged to begin with, and it was all set up. There's
Okay, but why-
pictures of them where they're about the same height, and then after 66, he's like a head taller than her. It's ridiculous.
Look at this.
You got video evidence, Eric?
No, I don't have video.
Well, picture. I mean,
Yeah.
Why don't you put your camera on there? I'd like.
Well, how about this? And all right, then, Nick, tell me this: if
got
all this was arranged,
Oh, that was not at all.
it was done with such meticulous forethought, why at that time? Why at that particular time would they do it? Why wouldn't they wait till they broke up, or why at that juncture? Well, to introduce the new Paul.
Well,
You're
what would
saying-
be the point if they broke up? I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, what's the point of doing it right then? You're saying that
Here's the point.
because
he's
he
getting
didn't want to
sick.
go along with it anymore. He didn't want to also.
And when you have opportunity, you know what I mean? If you have opportunity to do something like, he's going out on a car ride, take our chance now. It's raining. He's got this person with it. Whatever. You can take your opportunity when you see it, you take it.
But
you see
what
like the
I'm
CIA,
saying, okay,
like,
but what I'm saying is, okay, if it's so obvious in these pictures that this guy's taller than John Lennon, and they're going to take millions of pictures of all these guys, you don't think somebody's going to see that? Why don't you wait?
somebody did see it.
Well, I'm just saying, if they were, you're talking about this is
it's
like
just crazy.
Professor
I've been
Moriarty
Paul-
stuff.
that's all I can do
Okay.
is, I've been taller than John forever.
Well,
I
I'll
did
tell
a
you.
horrible Paul there.
I'll tell you
as
what,
good as
man.
his.
I think things are deliberately done. I've talked about, propaganda and shootings and things like that. I don't want to even
Yes,
really
ad
get into it.
nauseum, yeah.
But I mean, I think they mess up on purpose. You know what I mean? You think, well, wouldn't they do a better job
right.
if with unlimited resources? They do that to see who's listening, to see who's going to pay attention,
Okay.
and they are paying attention. You know that.
So is it more likely that Paul? I'm asking you guys. Is it more likely that this is true, that this is not Paul, or that the Earth is flat?
Is that our basis for
that's
comparison
correct.
now?
That's
for
I like the
everything?
meme that shows the other planets that is Jupiter flat?
No.
That's not what the guy's saying,
just
though.
Earth is
We're
flat.
Nick,
all in
that's
this
religion.
dome, and they're revolving around us. The Earth is. But
Nick,
that's,
if you watch that show,
Yeah, you didn't watch
that
the
type
show.
of shit is
I'll watch
religion.
it.
and that's
that
just
shit is
religion
Oh
anyway.
my God, that was the most frustrating part of that whole episode.
Yes.
Like I
I got a counter to that. Yes, just religion.
Uh-oh. Do you?
I know what the guy's arguments are. I could make the same thing.
Okay. All right.
You should make your own flat Earth.
I was
podcast.
talking about hydrostatic equilibrium. That's where that's the law of physics.
Physics
is that
isn't
what
real,
they
is
told
the
you?
problem.
That's what he said. That's religion.
Yeah.
So,
Everything we said was, that's
that's
religious.
kind of tough when you're arguing with a guy like that.
Our belief in
That was-
science
right,
is a
that was
religion.
his counter.
That's funny.
Everything from Archimedes
have
on.
you been up there? Have you seen that yourself? No, it's a religious belief.
That's
Math
right.
is
That's
wrong.
what I'm saying.
That's
Math
what
is
we
wrong.
usually say. Is that's the opposite. He just
Yeah.
turned that shit right back around on us.
Yeah, he did.
That's
I
true.
was taken aback. That's for sure. I was like, he used our own argument against us.
Yeah, we lost some listeners because of that show too. Because
I think we gained a
they
bunch,
thought-
actually.
Yeah, I think we
maybe,
did.
huh? They thought we were too accommodating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we just play the show for
Not
Nick
me.
so he can hear it?
Everybody's thought I was an
I'll
asshole.
Watch it. I'll check it out.
I thought it was pretty good. I don't know. I thought the guy who came on did a good job.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's a different show.
You guys
So
want to
anyway,
hear?
what is Paul? Did you see that he's taller?
there's a
and
height
things?
dis-
You notice, some,
yeah.
but that could be lifts, right? I mean,
I got a
height.
picture, I got a. No, it's not on my phone anymore. It might be, but whatever. It's a picture of them taking pictures for something, and they got Ringo and John like standing on like a box, like a in in
Was
a-
this the real Paul is shorter or the faux pas
No,
short?
so they're making the other guys look as tall as he
Yeah.
is.
So what are you claiming though? Which one is faux Paul taller?
Faux Paul is taller. Yes.
I just want to get it
He
straight.
got taller after 6.
Here's a
got taller.
picture from what I'm going to say is about 65, maybe 64, where it looks like I'd say
pretty
Paul's maybe
tall
taller.
there.
Yeah.
Man,
Which one's Paul?
That's
Third one.
third from the
hell
left.
do
I
you not
believe
know
that's
which one's
young
Paul?
Paul. I believe that's the real Paul.
Real Paul? Okay.
Yes.
Looks like
He
it.
looks
What
pretty
year?
tall there, though, doesn't he? He looks taller than Lennon.
It's not
Lennon is
listed where-
clearly
Yeah,
taller.
Could be
but
perspective.
65. Help era.
It could be. It could be.
So he did make Help, and he did make right. Help came on 65, right?
Right.
And then Hard Day's Night was 64. When did Yellow Submarine come out?
After that.
So
It's
that
like
was
Yeah,
faux
you know,
Paul.
Submarine's supposed to, all the drug references
Yeah.
and shit. Like,
so the real Paul wouldn't have stood for that.
right.
You're saying his eyebrows have been different too for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yellow Submarine was 69.
You ever hear the song by John Lennon solo album
Maybe, yeah, could be. Yeah.
called "How Did You Sleep"?
No, I never.
I have heard that.
It's about
Give me a minute.
He says those freaks was right when they said you was dead. It's all about Paul McCartney. He says, the only thing you learned was yesterday.
I heard this song the other day.
But now, why wouldn't the other Beatles? I mean, like 10 years, 15 years later, just say the hell this is true? Why would they not spill the beans?
Maybe they stood to lose somehow.
So here's the lyrics to that. How do you sleep? So Sergeant Pepper took you by surprise. You better see right through that mother's eyes. Those freaks was right when they said you was dead. The one mistake you made was in your head. So it's like you could pretty much take that right there. Say, Paul, you fucked up. You had the wrong thoughts in your head and they killed you.
That's probably
Everybody's
the
right.
most damning picture I've seen right there. So eyebrows, facial structure, hair, the whole nine, just different. Look at the nose. That's all tight in right there, and that's wide.
Let's put you side by side with you a
Chin.
couple of years ago. Let's see how you look.
What are you, an Italian pathologist?
I might be.
Okay, well, I'll grant you that doesn't
That's a pretty. Hang on,
show Nick.
This is a
not
pretty
that he
good-
has to be convinced.
That was the one I thought. I just thought the eyebrows, the nose, the hair,
Yeah.
the facial structure.
It's fairly different.
Right, and that's 2 years, so that's 63 to 65.
Post that on the group.
Well, then
'cause
that's not a clone then, because look at that. That's not. Those
I
ain't
don't
the same
believe it is
picture.
a clone.
It was straight
Oh,
replaced.
you don't think that's a clone? All right.
He's been saying
So
forever.
who-
They've had the guys sitting in
Yeah.
wait. That's Nixon.
But you would think they do a better job then, right? I mean, if you're gonna go through all the plastic surgery and everything.
Think about this though. This is the '60s.
Yeah.
What did they have? A few
Hey,
magazines.
didn't you see
Right,
Thunderball?
Exactly.
Remember
They're-
Thunderball?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, she didn't recognize her own brother.
Well, that's
Even
even,
though it was the
even
same
better.
actor.
You're on our side here then.
They all had mustaches at one time because Paul had to wear a mustache to cover up some
Scar?
a surgical scar. Yeah.
And full beards eventually.
And, and they always, changed their appearance anyway. And like he was saying, there's no internet back then. You saw them on television. You saw what
Fucking
they wanted to
newspapers.
show
I believe
you.
that. Yeah,
you
I
know?
believe it. But
Yeah,
still,
you saw him on Ed
pictures
Sullivan
like
in
this.
'64, and then you were lucky from time to time to see him again. They stopped touring 2 years later at '66.
And what
So-
band does that, man? What band?
You'd have to have the stroke of strokes to be able to pull that shit off. You know what I mean?
So you're convinced too?
I'm not convinced. I'm saying there's plenty of weird shit that not connected. any one of them alone just makes you go, okay, calm the fuck down. But put them all together, you start to go, this is a little weird.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Man.
But his thesis is that this is
still
all
don't care.
planned forethought, beforehand. I mean, maybe it was an accident. Maybe okay, we need a Paul quick.
I'm on
Okay,
team New Paul is our Paul.
Let me go back. Okay, they could have used fake Paul even in the beginning.
Oh.
The way they used Elvis and his brother Jesse, where one of them was in New York and the other one was making movies. And in the research of Miles Mathis, he points out that the timing of Love Me Tender, Elvis's first movie, is like, hold on, when did you have time to shoot that? Because you were tied into a contract in Louisiana, and you were, I think he might even put it down where it's like, no, he was here and he was here. But he got out of Louisiana's hayride contract, but he is on record after record. They were all recorded. You know what I mean? So he was there.
Nick, do you think all this started as like a way to, and you said that you thought they all had doubles as well. It all started as a way to like maybe expand the reach of the Beatles to make more money?
I'm glad that's the question because I wanted to get into that. That's what else
to increase their infamy, more or less.
They got another one. You know what I mean? And it's if one dies, well, they got one, and then
do all the Beatles have a backup? You think?
Well,
that's what he was saying earlier.
I've seen pictures of all of them that are questionable. I've seen comparisons made, and I think there might be a website. I think there is a website about it all, about them all being. I think it's called thebeatlesneverexisted.com.
Oh, I'm checking that out right now. The Beatles.
Well, that says it all.
Sounds legit.
There's, as people say fall, like instead of Paul, they also say fetals.
Like the fetal
Very
position.
clever, these
Beatles,
conspiracy
like fake
theorists.
Oh, man, I wish I would have known about this before today. I would have read into this. This has been cool to talk about.
And who wants to really believe this anyway? Like, fans don't want to believe it, so they're going to...
I'm not even a fan, and I don't want to believe it.
They're not going to think,
Okay.
Yeah, thebeatlesneverexisted.com. You nailed it. It's only one page, but still.
Oh, really?
Well, this is an interesting... This is... If indeed this is true.
Check out... there's a number of stuff. Check out...
Oh, there's dozens of articles that basically go through exactly what you're saying about how the Beatles were... Yeah, dozens.
Well, I mean, a lot of people think this is...
The Fabricated Four is a good headline.
Oh, Fab. Yeah,
Fab
Four when we was Fab, yeah.
Check out Winged Beetle.
Winged Beetle?
Yeah, it's a documentary. Yeah.
Winged Beetle documentary.
So you're absolutely convinced this is not Paul. Let's just put it that way. The rest of the stuff is sketchy a little bit, but
that's
this is
available
not
right
Paul.
now on YouTube
what
for
do you
free.
Think?
The Winged Beetle is.
What do I think about the Paul McCartney thing?
Yeah, this is not Paul. Those pictures seem to convince you.
No, the pictures are definitely damning evidence.
I'm convinced
Fall the
by
fireman.
the pictures and the Italians.
Don't bring them up. That's tainted.
That and Dr. Henry Truby, the hard stuff, and what Heather Mills says.
Okay.
Now that Heather Mills but
what's she really
and then
say?
She'll say something. People that will argue with something really stupid, like, "Well, she's crazy," like.
Maybe Nick's crazy. How about you, man? You've been doped up, man. Hey, so what percentage? I'm not a real big Beatles fan, so I really wouldn't. I'm kind of who cares. But the diehard Beatles fans, what percentage of them would you think that Paul's dead?
I wouldn't say a lot of them. That's a tough pill to swallow,
Nick
dude.
here. I don't know.
I don't think most of them care.
No, but do they think that most of them think that they don't care either? I like their music.
A lot of them probably don't even want to indulge this stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want to believe this.
Well, I would think a lot of people dismiss it out of hand.
It's like a lot of conspiracy theories. Especially if it's something that's close to you and it changes your worldview. No. I'm not even listening. Is what you're going to get on a lot of this stuff. I would say from diehard fans, like if you were to tell me like Jerry Garcia was replaced in 1967, you know what I mean? Summer of Love never happened with him. I'd be like, oh, I'm not even fucking listening to this.
Wouldn't you think the diehard fans would be more? I mean, like seeing those pictures would be
cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
Ooh. Now, be careful with that term.
No, yeah, I think you use it pretty well.
Yeah. I don't think you know what that means. I keep saying that word.
Conformational bias.
Yeah, even I don't know.
This is weird.
Encyclopedia.
Let's see. What's the song?
Dementia
1, 2, 3,
precox.
4, 5, 6, 7. All good children go to
1,
heaven.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's
seven.
in.
It's
on Abbey
Road.
Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
when did Abbey Road come out?
69, right? It was her last album. Well, although they did Let It Be first, right?
No, it wasn't their last album.
Yes, it was. It was the last one they did, but Let It Be came out first, or something like that. It was the last one they did, but Let It Be came out later.
Yeah, Let It Be was their last one.
But that was the last one they produced, I think, right, Nick? And then how it goes?
Okay, so then Abbey Road was what year?
69.
69, yeah.
Yeah, September 69.
But it was made
September of
earlier than that, I
69.
think.
Okay, that came out in September
later.
of 69.
Right.
Okay, in August of 69, the Manson thing happened, or didn't happen. But on a door at the Spawn Ranch were those lyrics. A month before that album came out.
The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children.
Yeah, that was in
Written
the
on a
side
door.
tube medley. I don't remember which part was
A
in
month
it.
Yeah.
before it
She
came
never
out.
gives you your
That's
money,
when they were
maybe.
doing. No, that was when they were doing all that. Cuando para mucho mi amor. Remember
Sun
that?
King. That's
Yeah, that's the
That
Sun
might be-
King.
that's
Abbey
it.
That's the
Road.
first song on the album,
Yeah.
isn't it? Or is
No,
it?
no, that's part of the medley at the end.
Yeah, man, I need to get that album back out. I'll be listening to that tonight for
love
sure.
that album,
Me too, dude.
Yeah, but lovely. Manson was carving a lot of things into people. You know, their piggies and all that, right? Remember Helter Skelter and all
Well,
that.
okay, I don't believe that really happened. I don't believe the Manson murders took place.
Okay, what happened there?
Whoa.
I think that was totally to discredit the hippie movement. You know what I mean? That's
Destroy the
why
Summer of
they
Love and
wanted
all
to
that?
Destroy, yeah,
But then
all that
people died.
because of the war activism, you know, or anti-war activism. They
So
wanted,
what
you
happened
know,
to Sharon Tate?
Yeah, good question. I was going to say the same thing.
She went and had her
Baby
let's
somewhere
see,
else?
What's the song? Helter Skelter in a Summer Swelter.
Birds flew out of the fallout shelter.
The birds
8
flew
miles.
out
American
to a fall.
Pie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Helter. The birds are Roman and Sharon, and they left, and they found they were shopping for houses out of the country months before this allegedly happened. There's a lot of things that point to that did not happen. That was.
Well, we have to do a show on
propaganda.
that then. Sounds like another show.
Did you know? Okay, Charles Manson. Yeah, I'd like to. Charles Manson always has a beard when you see him in these interviews in prison, right? Yeah, beards.
Up until recently, I think,
Beards are not allowed in the California penal system.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Was he the one that brought that up? Somebody
yeah,
else?
I've talked
Yeah.
about it before.
Yeah.
You can't have a beard in the California pen?
Right, and Charles Manson always. You can't have the jewelry. He's wearing he has like a scarf around his neck. There's no way. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was in the clink one time and they didn't give me a razor. Not in prison. I wasn't in prison, but I was in
Yeah.
jail, like extended stay.
I
at
mean,
Madison
you have
County,
to
and
keep. You can't have a beard in California.
They didn't give
That's
me a
the law.
razor at all. They told me I could buy one. I told them to get fucked. I wasn't going anywhere, so fuck, I need a razor.
You were
for
in
it.
the psych ward though, weren't you?
No.
Don't they make concessions?
What do you take me for, Armand? Come on.
A lunatic
All right, maybe. No, I wasn't. I wasn't in the cycle.
with an English accent. Yeah, lunatic.
Mate, I had to talk to my counselor. You see.
Lunatic. All right. So, what else we got, Nick? You got a big final fillip of information here?
Well,
Seal the deal.
Sure looks like you're
What's
right
the
about beards not being
smoking?
allowed in California.
What's the smoke?
So why would they let him have what was the deal with the beard?
he was never in prison. He didn't do anything wrong.
Oh.
He never murdered. Nobody was murdered.
So he actually fulfilled his
worked
dream
for
of
the
being an
man.
actor.
He worked for the man, basically.
So he was somewhere
Let me
else.
tell you, who hangs out? What women hang out with ex-cons that don't have a job?
He hung out with
you
the
know
Beach
what I mean?
Boys.
What rock stars hang out with people that just got out of prison and you know what I mean? Come on.
I mean, that's a good point.
I don't
wouldn't,
believe
but-
it. Come on.
A lot of LSD, man. If let me say this,
and hold
if he
on.
could have got the drugs, then you're hanging out with him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If
Charlie can get the good shit. So come around, crazy Charlie.
I think
there'd
they'd
be
hang
Jews in
around.
the bathroom.
Why are those women so happy? The three girls. Why are they so happy? They're walking through the court through the jail, to go into the court.
Popular
LSD.
opinion?
In these
They're crazy.
these satin
Hopped up
dresses
on something, too,
and they're
probably.
holding hands. In jail, they have drugs, and
And they did good for Charlie. I mean,
And they're all happy and jovial and everything like this. It's
well, they had
okay,
kind of a,
hold on. But if you're gonna say that they're under his mind control still, well, why'd they roll over on him if they're under his mind control? Why'd they testify against him?
Sodium pentanol.
I sincerely doubt that.
All right, well, let's
No,
guess.
there's one of them. One of those girls. There's a picture of her doing this shit.
Oh, no
One of the
shit, huh?
Manson girls. Yeah.
Oh, I never saw
I
that.
did it when I was doing Nick of Time here. I did a show on that, and that was the picture that I used. I think. Yeah. Yeah, man.
The Armenian
don't
gal
buy that.
spilled the
There's
beans.
a lot
on-
of weird
Yeah,
stuff about it.
Linda Kasabian.
She was Armenian?
I want to play you guys a quick
She did
little bit
more
from
Armenian than that.
from the Lost Beatles album
Uh-oh.
This is the one that the guy brought back from.
called Everyday Chemistry. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, shit. It's playing through my laptop. Let me plug this back in here. I unplugged my
Sounds
feed.
like ZZ Top to me.
It's not ZZ Top. I can guarantee you it's not ZZ Top.
Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to know which way to turn.
It kind of sounds like him.
So sitting here, I did the research on this, and I got some stories behind it.
What,
Pretty good, right?
What album is this?
This is called from the Everyday Chemistry album. It's what a guy brought back from an alternate reality.
Oh, this is the one that. Oh,
But the story goes, if you yes, Wikipedia, which knows everything, is never wrong, wouldn't lie.
of course not.
These were just sampled tracks from other songs they hadn't released. They sampled them and put it together into like more or less mega tracks.
Yeah.
And this here tells you what every track is, where they sampled the voices and stuff.
By
like, so.
Occam's razor, doesn't that make more sense?
Well, I'm a big fan of Occam's razor, so yeah, it does. But it's more fun to think about maybe this motherfucker went to another parallel dimension
Nick,
and brought it back.
That's what I believe.
that confirms it. He's loony. He's another loony.
You know what's more exciting is if that's true, is that we just confirmed parallel universes. Fuck that the Beatles didn't break up in one of them. I mean, the possibilities are endless at that point.
Yeah, I want to be in the universe where I didn't lose all my money in the stock market. How do I get in that universe?
You're fucked, man. That happened to every one of them.
My final thoughts, if you want them, like
That's a
We do,
depressing thought. Yes.
if you want to look at the truth, look at both of them. Find some pictures of them and look at both of them.
Well, the
Read
pictures he just
Wire
showed
2009.
look pretty bad.
They also, they also played bass different. They also, the first Paul went back and forth like this,
Okay.
and he would bob his head back. He'd go back and forth with his head.
Okay.
Second Paul just didn't do that. First Paul was more shy and more like, I don't know. Then he
Well,
got
like
all
I'm saying, maybe it was
flippant
his
and
head
kinda-
injury from the accident. Maybe he didn't die. Maybe it wasn't fatal.
Couple 10 strips of Timothy
But could
Leary
that
LSD
be?
will
Could
make
that
you
not
open up
be?
real
I mean, an
quick.
accident would alter your features if it was severe enough. We know that, right? I mean,
It sure would.
Yeah, that's
It
why
sure
they had
would.
to do that.
But-
And even your
but-
voice.
But why, if that's all that happened, if he got into an accident and had reconstructive surgery, why
wouldn't they say it?
Well, maybe
what's
they
with all
wanted
that?
to get out. So, okay.
I mean, I can see that, but
Yeah.
that's too simple.
Well, I don't know. Is it
let's just say
is
he's
that
killed.
simpler
Really
than what he's
it
saying?
doesn't explain away any of what I brought up, really. Maybe the album clues and stuff like that, because they put that out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were trolling at certain points, but the album cover thing, like the Sgt. Pepper's with the mirroring, that I think is complete coincidence.
You talking about the Beatles, mate?
I come on, I mean that's a tough one. I think that's coincidence. Could be,
How about the Volkswagen?
But even
The
if
license plate.
yeah. I mean, again, complete. That's another one.
In the Backwoods song, eh?
Well, I mean, because that supposedly that shot was
Yes.
just they weren't they going to do a really involved picture somewhere? So the hell with that. It's
They
too
took
expensive.
like 6 or 7 shots and threw a bunch of them out. Paul had shoes on in 4 of the 6 shots they took.
But they
Flip-flops.
weren't. Yeah, but I'm just saying. As I recall, they weren't supposed to do that picture in behind the studio or whatever. Isn't that where that is? They were supposed to do this shoot, a real expensive shoot somewhere, and it got to be so outrageously expensive or such a pain in the ass. The hell with it. Let's
Wouldn't
go out in
surprise
the
me.
back and shoot this damn thing. That's what the guy who owned the VW said.
well,
Because that guy got a lot of money for that car.
well, if you ever watch the the making of The Shining, the guy says it's about a horror film. And it's not. So
Let's see.
I'm not sure what. I don't know what the point is
that's
there.
never mind.
I'll let our listeners judge that one.
There's a crosswalk right across town over here that look just like Abbey Road.
Yes,
Yeah,
there
I
was.
kind of
Pretty cool. Yeah. Not
Shane,
really.
Shane Select says he was never replaced, but he doesn't give anything else on that. So thanks for your non-informative comment, Shane. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, fucking Barack didn't lose.
Yeah, well, true.
Okay. I'm just throwing out stuff that makes no sense.
In
You
20
know, like
Well-
Sherlock Holmes says, when
Okay.
you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains,
However improbable.
no matter
How improbable.
however improbable must be the truth.
Yes.
And you do not grow. You know what I mean? You don't. Your face, your head. You can't have plastic surgery to change the shape of your skull.
Fucking Brock Lesnar's head's fucking bigger than it used to be.
What are you talking about?
Brock Lesnar, he's just saying your head can't grow. Like
But it
it's-
can't. I mean, I'm sorry, it can't reshape.
Right, yes, it'll be the same proportions.
I don't know.
throughout,
I mean,
yeah.
if you have a skull fracture, I don't know. Why not?
I mean, it's got to be possible. But you're talking, very.
And you get taller too.
I'm not sure about that either, though. I mean, he wore lips.
Taller, and your voice is.
I can get
different
taller.
on
I
two different
can be
songs.
taller in 2 minutes.
Mate, how are you going to get taller in 2
Get
minutes?
some lifts. I'm wearing my wrestling shoes. I get in my tennis shoes. I'll be an inch taller right there.
There's so much more
These are flat.
information out there.
Well, you make it. You make it.
Just
I'm not.
check it out. No,
right.
check it out.
You
Check
make
out
a
Winged
good
Beetle.
presentation.
As always, you don't have to take our word for it, but get
Right.
out there on your Googles and your Yahoos and your Bings
Right.
and start typing in keywords and make your own
right.
make your own decisions.
Sherlock Holmes also said, "You see, but you do not observe."
Yeah,
that one
Sherlock
Well,
Holmes
he
also
didn't-
said, "I'm too drunk to taste this chicken."
He didn't live in the days of Project Bluebeam. You can't trust what you see anymore.
Probably not.
And half of what you hear.
What's this blue beam? So what? The Doppler effect?
No,
No,
come on,
it's,
Armand. You know what Project Bluebeam is. Get your shit together.
If
I'll
I've never
read
talked to, if you don't know what that is, then you've never listened to me talk.
Well, I've listened, but I do not hear.
You're making me sick, Armand.
Look,
All right,
look
guys.
that up. We'll go in. That'll be another hour talking about that.
All right, guys. I think that's
Very
all we got for today,
compelling
pretty
arguments.
much.
Did we want to play the voicemail?
As always.
The one good voicemail that we
There's
had?
no voicemails. I don't know what you're talking about. You want me to play it? I'll play it.
Yeah,
Fine.
play it.
We're skipping over a couple of people just to play this one because Eric really liked it. So here we go.
I really like it.
This is Dave calling from the UK.
Oh, shit.
I don't think Eric's UK impression is that bad. Definitely Team Eric.
Thank you,
I'd like
mate.
to go for
Thank
a beer
you.
with Almond, maybe a titty bar. Think that'd
He's
be
cool.
fun.
Yeah, I like
One
him.
more thing. Fuck you, Everett.
That's such
We
a good
really like
voicemail.
him, yes.
Such a good voicemail.
Of course. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck you, Dave.
They breed a better man in England these
talk
days.
to my British friend like that, eh? You want to get into a
For
slobber
those
knock
of you who
outside
are
of the
listening on
pub, eh?
podcast and can't see the camera, I'm flipping Dave off.
Yes.
So
Very stiff middle.
But
he said, "Fuck me first."
yes, he did.
Just saying.
I'm not blaming you.
He started it.
you're a little kid. Grow up, eh?
Hey, Nick, any other? I mean, I do have. I have been listening for years.
What would you
but-
consider the smoking gun? That's the thing. That's what I want to know. What's your smoking gun, Nick?
The probably, I mean, just the pictures, just like
pictures are pretty-
the forensic.
right.
This, his skull being differently shaped.
Yeah. The eyebrows got me.
Yeah.
I looked at the eyebrows. And then the nose. The pictures where his nose and the one later was so tight. And
The picture was
squeezed
taken
out.
from under?
And then
I mean,
fucking,
really,
Slightly under.
it was wider in the earlier pictures.
He had
so, yeah.
rhinoplasty.
Anything. I mean, you can't explain away that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Armand just did.
On the biography channel, Paul was being interviewed, and he says the following when reflecting on his life. Paul McCartney's this sort of successful bit of it all that I'm very proud of, but I don't imagine I'm him, because if I were, it'd blow my head off.
It's like saying though, he's like, I can't.
That's false, Paul. Obviously, right?
That's fake Paul.
False.
I look at that as him
faux.
saying, I can't even imagine that it's me who got famous, man. If I was to actually believe that it was me, I couldn't handle it.
Right, yeah. It's like I'd blow my own head off if I
Yeah,
looked at it like I'm that big.
blow
Because
my
he says
mind?
his ego would be that.
Well,
No, I
who
just
were,
think it
who were the
surprising.
original B? Was it Paul and John? Were they the ones?
Yeah.
That,
And
the
George.
Quarrymen and all that shit. George came
Stu
later, right?
Sutcliffe was and Pete Best.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Pete Best. That was
Stu
a drummer,
Sutcliffe's
right?
dead. Pete Best. Did he die too? No, I think they just replaced him.
Yeah. And there was a guy named Stuart Sutcliffe. that
Yeah,
died.
he was the 62. He died.
Yeah. Fifth Beatle. Well, they've both been
No,
called
the fifth
that.
Beatle was George Martin.
I've heard Stu Sutcliffe
RR?
called that too, and Pete Best.
I mean, they were Beatles, but like the
Yeah.
fifth Beatle, I'm pretty sure
I
was
heard
George Martin.
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston, people say that about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's very common.
Yeah, a lot of people were the fifth Beatle.
Yeah. Erica's a fifth Beatle. He's a sixth Beatle.
Fucking right, bud.
Who's Billy Preston?
Hang on, I got this.
Nothing
I got
from
this.
nothing comes nothing, or whatever, right? Isn't that?
George Martin. George Martin is who?
He was their manager.
He was their manager.
Yeah.
His family crest, or his crest or his coat of arms.
Yeah, heraldry.
has 3 Beatles on it.
The bug or the band members? Which
The Beatles.
Okay.
The bug. The
scarab,
Bugs
right?
Have
I mean,
3
it's-
scarab. Has
yeah.
three scarab Beatles.
Oh, far out.
Right.
All right, guys, let's kill it. We'll catch you guys all next week. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Nick, for showing in and give us
My
a nice
pleasure.
show with
Nice
Talking
talking
Balls
to you
Good.
all.
Next week will not be a Wednesday show. Next week is a Sunday show.
That's right. I got to go to New York, and we're doing a show with Freak Nation podcast, and that ought to be a pretty good.
The
time.
Witching Hour, dude.
Yeah, the Witching Hour, dude.
Look out for GC.
It's a gal.
RX Radio. Nick of Time. Thank you very much.
Check it out.
Definitely do.
Find Nick on the group too. He's always got free reign to throw
Nick,
whatever
post
he's on
that in
about us.
that yeah, say post it in the group, Nick.
All right, you can find us online, surrealtalkpodcast.com. Google us for all of our social media and other channels. We will catch you next week.
There's also a post pinned at the top of every social media channel with all the other social media channels. So if you find us in one spot, you
You'll
can
find
get
us
us everywhere.
That's a good point. All right, guys, catch you next week. Clear. Okay, cool. Thanks, everybody, for showing up on the stream today.
Yes, and Weezen appreciates it. Good day.
Luar says he's the third Hicks.
Luar Hicks. That has a nice ring to it. I think.
Torchlight says George Martin was the fifth Beatle. That's what I always thought, too. Great show, guys. Thanks, Grave. Pseudo Paul. That's not bad.
Ooh, Pseudo Paul. That does sound better.
Yeah.
I like Pseudo Paul.
All right, cool. All right, guys, we got to get going. We will catch you next week. See you in the group.
Killing the stream.
See you on the stream.
All right. Good night, mate.